for having me today.
Right. I mean, I know this is something you followed really for quite some time now. With this latest development, 500 billion naira loan for palliative in the 2023 supplementary budget, that is. And then now the $800 million looks like the president is going ahead with it. He's since written to the House of Reps today, and that letter has been read before plenary. But the question for a lot of Nigerians is how this would work. He gave some details in this that, well, 8,000 naira a month will be transferred to 12 million poor households for 6 months. Now, that is for the $800 million from the World Bank. But for this 500 billion naira, what are your immediate thoughts about the implementation particularly?
Thank you for this question. It's a big question, really, because this kind of move is not new in Nigeria. When we talk about palliative, it hardly solves any problem because it's a palliative. You know, if you break down the word palliative, it's a medical term, you know, which deals with symptom of an ailment rather than the ailment itself. So this time we are talking about palliative, you know, for economic hardship, you know, caused by petrol subsidy removal and merger of exchange rates and so many other policies. But like you have said, how is this going to be implemented? You know, the 12,000 or 8,000 per month per person you mentioned is what is called an economics transfer payment. In other words, you are giving people money for which they have not worked. It's likely to have inflationary impact on the economy. And the level of inflation in the economy is already at a hyper level. It's a runaway inflation at close to 23%. You know, so the money you bring, the more you bring in this kind of money that is not backed up by productivity, the more inflation is likely to go up, and the more the purchasing power of the economic agents, you know, is eaten up, is weakened. You understand? So everybody will be negatively affected, you know. And when you look at it, if you give somebody 8,000 in a month in this country today, what is it worth? What is it worth? In fact, I don't know the right word to use. When you use it to describe improving the person's well-being, 8,000 naira per month. And how do you select these people is a question. How do you select the people to give? Some of us are familiar with what happened during the COVID. And this word was everywhere, palliative, palliative. At the end of the day, you find out that not much was achieved. Instead, the corruption that is deep-seated in the system further enriched some people, you know, and further impoverished those who, you know, the palliatives were actually meant for. So this time around, we don't know what is going to be achieved. It's likely to be a repeat of what we have always gone through. You know, some people who are rich are likely to be made richer, you know, when such huge amount of billions, you know, are mapped out for this kind of program. If I have to suggest, I would have told the government to address the cost, you know, of the subsidy in the first place, which is talking about refinery in Nigeria. Let them repair the refineries in this country. Let them license modular refineries construction, and let there be so many of them. So once we have all this in place here in Nigeria, nobody will be talking about subsidy again. Let whatever is saved, you know, from the subsidy removal be deployed to essential critical infrastructure construction. So when you have these things working, you know, the well-being and welfare of the people will be properly taken care of. If we have railway that is working very well, if you have the roads are at a good condition, if you deployed it into security matter to have better security in this country, all these things will work out together to improve the well-being of the people. You know, if you thought about how to get people employed, give them employment rather than giving them, you know, fish, as the palliative implies, we are going nowhere with palliative. I don't believe in it.
Well, let me just follow up.
I have to say what I'm saying.
Right. It's important to have these ideas out there so we can really brainstorm and come up with the very best solution. I mean, Nigeria belongs to us all. But going by what the president said yesterday, that he doesn't want the money to get into the wrong hands, a lot of people might want to hold on to that. And of course, it reminds us of what happened in the past. So let's do the math. 500 billion naira on the one hand, the World Bank loan, $800 million. That's about 56 billion naira, thereabouts, going by the prevailing exchange rate. That's 550 something billion naira for palliatives. You believe that this should not be handed to people. Some say, well, what options do they have? These people are poor anyway. Some of them live below $2 or what have you on a daily basis. So for them, it is way better than nothing. But let's wind down on this point, Mr. Okeke. What would you be telling?
I want to agree with you. That's better than nothing.
Yeah,
but
just a moment.
Has always been the human factor.
Just a moment. Let me ask you this question, because you talked about the refineries. So you say the government should fix refineries instead. Is that really a guarantee that the price of petrol will be back to what, 180 or even less, so that people can know what to expect as well?
Once again, thank you for this question. What we have always had, and which persists, is human problem. Is human problem. It's the people that implement these policies you are talking about. We had four refineries, big four refineries in this country that were working until the human factor we are talking about came in, and people ran them aground for whatever reason. I don't know whatever reason it is, but those four refineries, one in Kaduna, two in Port Harcourt, and one elsewhere, were all run down and grounded. That is why we are talking about this fuel subsidy removal and palliative today. If not so, we some of us are not too young to know in this economy that there was a time we had enough petroleum refined here in this Nigeria, within Nigeria. We were not importing. So all of a sudden, those refineries were run aground, and we are now depend almost 100% on importation. So it's something that can be done, But my challenge is that when you come to this kind of thing, are you going to bring angels to come and do them?
Because well, that's a big question. Really interesting question there, honestly. But I wish we had more time on this conversation. But we have to wind down now because of our time. Always interested in speaking with you on economic matters, Mr. Okeke. Perhaps we'll do this again. Mr. Marcel Okeke is a political economist, former chief economist at Zenith Bank.